When you think of your favorite game, what do you think of? Is it the characters, music, the gameplay, the memories, or hell, maybe even a title screen? Well, for me it's all of those things. Kingdom Hearts is an embodiment of nostalgia for me. From the boot up screen, to the cutscenes, playing this game is just one big old dream in my head. I often find myself thinking about the adventure that the characters go on, trying to find their friends, trying to find the light. Every couple of years I come back to this game for old time's sake, and despite me getting better every time and me learning new ways to defeat a boss, I never get tired of it. Though, if we truly want to understand Kingdom Hearts, we must go way back, when the game was just an idea. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why you should care about Kingdom Hearts. The Kingdom Hearts franchise was first introduced on March 28, 2002, for the best-selling console of all time, the PS2. Kingdom Hearts was directed by Tetsuya Nomura and developed by Squaresoft. Running off the ultra-successful game that was Final Fantasy VII, Squaresoft decided it would be a great idea to make a movie centered around Final Fantasy franchise. This was a total mistake, and the movie made about $85 million at the box office, with a budget of $140 million. After the loss of the money Squaresoft had over the failure of their first attempt at a movie, a company by the name of Enix made them an offer to combine their hardworking teams and create a company, Square Enix. This help, along with them not being totally lost and out of money, allowed them to work on their next game, Kingdom Hearts. This game was set to be one of the most ambitious and weird collaborations of all time, Disney and Final Fantasy. The first idea of Kingdom Hearts came from Shinji Hashimoto and Hironobu Sakaguchi when they were discussing Super Mario 64 and how they loved the idea of a 3D plane for the player to move on. But they needed a character that would rival the likes of Mario, so what a better studio to collab with than Disney themselves. Every kid and their mom knows who Disney is. At the same time, Square Enix was working in the same building as Disney, and by chance, both executives were in an elevator when the head of Square pitched an idea to Disney directly. The pitch was successful, and the game began development in February of 2000. But who would direct it? This is where we see Tetsuya Nomura, the character designer for Final Fantasy VII, jump into place. This would be his first time directing anything, but he had learned enough from his time working on FF7 to be able to successfully direct this game. Originally, the game was set to be targeted to the age range of kids who watch Disney movies, but the producer, Sakaguchi, said the game would most definitely fail if it did not aim to reach the heights of Final Fantasy's previous titles. Nomura's plan was simple: have the character and his companions go through various Disney worlds with the freedom to explore till their heart's content. Sora's design went through a few phases until settling on his current one. We can see him as a chainsaw-wielding lion in this one, but Disney didn't like this idea of the protagonist using a chainsaw as a weapon, so Nomura softened up the design a bit and gave Sora a giant key that he would use to slay the Heartless with. This is all fine and dandy for the development, but what do you say we get into the actual game now? If someone were to ask me what Kingdom Hearts is really about, this clip sums it up pretty perfectly.
I've been having these weird thoughts lately. Like, is any of this for real? Or not?
Whoa! Give me a break, Kyrie.
Sorry, you lazy bum. I knew that I'd find you snoozing down here.
No, this huge black thing swallowed me up. I couldn't breathe, I couldn't... Ow!
Are you still dreaming?
It wasn't a dream. Or was it? I don't know. What was that place? So bizarre.
Yeah, sure.
Say, Kyrie, what was your hometown like? You know, where you grew up.
I've told you before. I don't remember.
Nothing at all?
Nothing.
You ever want to go back?
Well, I'm happy here.
Really?
But you know, I wouldn't mind going to see it.
I'd like to see it too. Along with any other worlds out there. I want to see them all.
So what are we waiting for?
Hey! Aren't you guys forgetting about me? So, I guess I'm the only one working on the raft.
Ah!
And you're just as lazy as he is.
So you know this. Okay, we'll finish it together. I'll race you.
Huh?
What? Are you kidding?
Ready? Go!
You just watched the intro from Kingdom Hearts, where 3 kids are having the time of their life on an island with no memory of how they got there, and no, Cardi B did not drug them. Everything seems cheerful, but yet you can't help but notice a dark undertone to the whole thing. You're tossed into the game with a tutorial which, once completed, throws you onto Destiny Islands, where you, Sora, along with your friends Riku and Kairi, have devised a plan to build a raft and set sail on the open ocean. A little strange that a group of kids are just gonna set sail in the 7 seas without telling anyone, not even their parents, just because they want to. Another thing is, the parents are barely even mentioned in this game. You hear presumably Sora's mother call to him in a cutscene, then a little mention of Kairi's parents, but that's it. But I digress. When put on Destiny Islands, your main objective is to check out the place, talk to other people, and get supplies for the raft. Also, have a bit of banter and a race along the way. The night before the gang is set to sail, a storm is over their island. Sora arrives and sees that Riku and Kairi have already made it. He finds Riku, their hangout spot, where a puddle of darkness is surrounding him. Sora tries reaching for Riku, but they're both swallowed up by the darkness. The end. Nah, I'm just kidding. Under the darkness, Sora emerges with a giant key in his right hand. He hears whispers and then echoes of the keyblade in his head. Sora fends off some small Heartless, then finds Kairi in the secret place. A door bursts open, blasting her into Sora's arms, yet instead of catching her, she seems to phase right through Sora. He also gets blasted out, landing himself on a small floating island, where he finds himself having to kill a giant Heartless, just like the one he saw in his dreams. While all this is happening, Donald Duck and Goofy, along with some other Disney characters, are introduced. We see that King Mickey has left a note for Donald and Goofy. The note basically says, "Hey guys, sorry I had to leave in a rush, but the whole world is in trouble and you need to go find a kid with a key or we're all gonna die." So Donald and Goofy go to Traverse Town in search of Leon, one of the many Final Fantasy characters. Luckily for them, after defeating the giant Heartless, Sora was sucked through a hole, teleporting him to Traverse Town. After a bit of running around, Sora finally bumps into Donald and Goofy along with some more Final Fantasy characters. It's here in Traverse Town where we see how Heartlesses are made, as well as some more information on why these things keep coming after Sora. Basically, Sora's the Keyblade Master and the Heartless will keep coming after him as long as he wields it. The Heartless can also be only defeated for good by the Keyblade, and someone named Ansem is most likely the root cause for the Heartless. Sora tells Donald and Goofy that he's looking for his friends Riku and Kairi, but Donald is like, "Haha, bitch, too bad, you're coming with us, cause the king says so." After a little consideration and thought, Sora agrees because he may be able to find Riku and Kairi while searching for the king. So now this is where Nomura's vision is truly put into place. We finally get to travel to the different Disney worlds such as Alice in Wonderland, the Colosseum from Hercules, Tarzan's Jungle, the world of Aladdin, the whale from Pinocchio, the Night Bear before Christmas, the underwater city from The Little Mermaid, Peter Pan's Neverland, and the 100-Acre Wood from Winnie the Pooh. Finally, Beauty and the Beast, but not really. It's more, inspired by Beauty and the Beast. The worlds all follow the same layout in the way that when you get there, you do some exploring, beat the shit out of some Heartless, see a cutscene or two, then kill like 1 to 3 bosses. Also, I would just like to say that I really like all the bosses in this game. They have their custom models, movesets, and they usually consist like Disney villains or custom Heartless boss and even some like familiar Final Fantasy bosses. A lot of these bosses aren't easy either. Some of them gave me some serious trouble. I remember I had to retry like multiple times and figure out better strategies to beat them. As well as killing a boss at the end of every level, you get a new improved Keyblade along with it. Then you seal the keyhole to that world so Heartless can no longer corrupt it. Now, this is great and all, but worlds do not come without their flaws. Some of them are just not very interesting, and I cannot stress this enough. They do not tell you where to go half of the time. You could say that this is part of the exploration aspect, but there's a fine line between exploring and just being lost and not knowing where to go. Now, NPCs do give you hints sometimes, but it's not every time. It feels like you just are expected to know where to go, and if you don't, you're kinda screwed, unless you look up a guide. Or who knows, I might just be stupid. Let me know in the comments. Anyways, back to the worlds. You start out in either Wonderland or the Colosseum. Wonderland is not interesting in the slightest, and you really only explore the forest, which, along with being not fun to explore, it looks like garbage. Then you have the main room, where you just go on different sides of the room, like the walls or the ceiling. Colosseum, on the other hand, is actually one of my favorite places. The game constantly introduces you to new challenges and cups you can play through. I wish you were able to explore more of the world, but that's fixed in the later titles. Once you complete both of those worlds, you unlock the Deep Jungle from Tarzan, and it's just okay. A large portion of the world feels empty, and like they just filled it up with enemies. Also, it consists of you going to the campsite, then going all the way back up to the treehouse over and over. I will say I do like this world better than the Wonderland though. Once you're done with those worlds, you'll head back to Traverse Town and talk to Leon, who says that you need to lock a keyhole in the world you visit, or else the world will fade away into nothingness. You accept the task, and you're about to leave when a familiar face shows up. It's Riku, but the conversation Sora and him are having comes to a halt when Donald says that he's not allowed to come with you guys. Before you know it, Riku has vanished out of thin air, and then in the next scene, we see that Maleficent has brainwashed Riku into working for her. She tells him that Sora is not his real friend, and she promises Riku to help him find what he's looking for. The second half of the game involves you going to Agrabah, Halloween Town, Atlantica, Neverland, Monstro, all while killing iconic Disney bad guys along the way. First place that you go to is Agrabah, which is actually pretty cool. You go around the town and you also get to go into like the Cave of Wonders, and the guy that does the genie's voice is actually pretty good. Overall, Agrabah is just good, nothing spectacular, but nothing bad either. Next up is Monstro, aka the giant space whale. This area is not as interesting as it sounds. While you're on your way to the next world, you're swallowed up and you'll find Pinocchio and his father. Riku takes Pinocchio and Sora's kind of like, hey, can you not? Also, Riku reveals that he may know where Kairi is. This area reminds me a lot of Wonderland in the way that you just wander around until you get to the right place. Monstro is really just boring, there's nothing more to it. The next world you visit is Atlantica. This place is basically the Deep Jungle, but sucks even more. Just like the Deep Jungle, you'll find yourself going back and forth from place to place, but worse in every way. You have worse movement, more enemies, and shittier level design. If you are a game developer and you are planning to add a water level into your game, I got some advice for you. Don't. Unless you can figure out a way to make your character feel as snappy as on land, yet still feel underwater. Next up is thankfully an actually good level, Halloween Town. This place rocks. You get to explore the courtyard, the cemetery, and Oogie Boogie's manor, and while doing it in the drippiest clothing of all time. No, seriously, Sora can rival the likes of Goku in the amount of drip.
And now, allow me to introduce the Master of Terror, the King of Nightmares, Jack Skellington!
Anyways, if you can't tell by now, I'm a big fan of this area. Besides the kind of annoying boss, this is one hell of a level. Next is Neverland, and I know that most people don't like this area, but honestly, I quite like this one. You get to go through the bottoms of the ship and explore the deck and quarters. You also get one of the most useful team abilities in the area, which is the glide. You meet Riku once again in this area along with Kairi, but something's not right with her. She seems lifeless, unable to move, and barely open her eyes. Riku takes her to wherever he went, and you go along your merry way, sealing the keyhole at Big Ben. Then, finally, we arrive at the last new location, the Hollow Bastion. Remember when I said you get to explore Beauty and the Beast's world, but not really? Well, this is what I was talking about. This is the spot where you meet Beast, and what do you fucking know? Look who it is! Look who decided to show up again! It's Riku. And this time, not only does he steal your hoe, he steals your Keyblade as well. Not only that, but Donald and Goofy also side with Riku because they have to obey the king's orders and follow the key. After Sora gets depressed, he and the Beast head up through the Hollow Bastion like absolute champs, finally reaching Riku once again. Sora says some inspirational shit, gets his Keyblade back, and kicks Riku's ass. Then they head deeper into the Bastion. You find Maleficent and kill her twice, ending in an awesome dragon boss battle. And then, venturing just a tad bit deeper into the Bastion, you find a room with all the princesses of light. In this same room, you also find Kairi and Riku, but he's not himself. He's talking differently and acting differently too. He tells you that the keyhole will remain incomplete unless Kairi is awoken. Turns out that Kairi's heart has been inside of you all along, and this imposter is actually Ansem. Bad dude that you sometimes hear about? Yeah, that's the one. He wants you to complete the keyhole because it will lead to Kingdom Hearts, which is the heart of all worlds, and it's surrounded in complete darkness. Sora defeats the evil Riku and tries to seal the keyhole, but he can't because it's not fully constructed yet. They still need Kairi's heart. Sora, being the absolute Chad, seppukus himself, and in a Romeo and Juliet moment, wakes Kairi up as he falls to his death, dying on the spot. Or does he? Sora gets turned into a Heartless, but a hug from Kairi and getting a semi-chub restores his heart to his body. The gang regroup and decide it's finally time to go into the keyhole and stop Ansem once and for all. So yeah, if you wanted to know what I think of the Hollow Bastion, it's kinda confusing at times, but overall it's an enjoyable area. Finally, Sora and his best buds reach the end of the world, as the game likes to call it. It's just basically an onslaught of Heartless until you reach the end. After killing whatever the heck this is, you head back to where it all started, Destiny Islands, but it's looking a little worse for wear. Not only do you get to fight Ansem once, not only twice, but 3 times you fight him. And the last time he turns into a ship and you have to fight him in like 4 different phases. Anyways, when you finally beat Ansem once and for all, the door to Kingdom Hearts is open, but underneath the darkness is light. It kills Ansem, and Sora, Donald, and Goofy go to close the door to Kingdom Hearts. It's no use though, and the darkness slowly begins to creep through. But do not fret. Riku and the king appear, closing the door from the inside, sealing the darkness with them in it. We then see a cutscene of Sora and Kairi being separated once the worlds begin to reconstruct. Sora, just grab her. She's right there, please, man. She's literally right there. Whatever. Anyways, the story wraps up with the gang, Sora, Donald, and Goofy beginning their search for Riku and Kairi, and also the king. And that's a wrap for Kingdom Hearts 1. Sure, it's not perfect in any way, but hey, what really is? I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, as well as follow my Twitch channel, please, in the description. And come stop by, say hi, you know, whatever. Also, in the comments, make sure to tell me what game you would like for me to cover next. Anyways, boys, this has been Gomez Boy 1, and you boys take care.